So often I get the question of, talk to me about consciousness. You're always, Constance, talking about shifting consciousness, raising consciousness, higher consciousness, doing this work from my higher consciousness. And I'm really trying to reach it in my meditation time. And I don't even think I'm there. I'm just really going through my to-do list and all these thoughts interfere. And it's just a real drag. So can you help me out? So today I want to help you out. I also want to give you two takeaways that if you forget everything else, just these two things to remember in your understanding and your own quest to shift your consciousness. So I hope you enjoy our time together.
Hello, and welcome to the Constance Messmer podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
So when I brought this question to Spirit, which I often do, I got 3 pages of typed notes. So I'm going to incorporate today's session to include these notes, parts of these notes, as well as my own database of awareness, my own studies. And then I'm going to work to meld all of the above while also listening to Spirit while I'm talking to you. It's where I go, right? It's what I do. So hopefully this makes sense. So the definition of consciousness is to be awake or aware of one's surroundings. And we have different states of consciousness. I told you a little bit about them when we went through the chakras, right? So I'm looking at my notes. So yeah. We're going to talk about that later. Oh, right. Oh, okay. Sorry. So various faith traditions over all the ages have spiritual practices that help them to shift consciousness, and especially their mystics. Faith traditions often have a form of mysticism within their community, study, understanding, spiritual practices, where you can devote time and attention to connection with the divine. I want you to work it through your higher consciousness so that you can not only have that, but also tap in on countless levels, which is often what mysticism becomes of mysticism. This talking to trees and rocks and connecting with others through telepathic communication, all of these things, right? So, these are in the faith traditions or certain spiritual practices. These are whirling dervishes, yogic practices. Yoga is from the root word union. So it's union with all that is, right? Hindu chanting and this mantra, this repetitive word, getting one into this state of heightened awareness. Ignatian prayer and contemplative prayer, certainly from the Christian sect and Catholic sect, which I'm familiar with. Ignatian prayer, which is beautiful. There's trance meditation, there's praying in spirit, there's journeying. I'm not one to use substances to go to this transcendent state, but I know that there are certain traditions that do. I am a proponent of we don't need them. Not at all. We're body and soul. This is accessing soul's potential. As I said, various texts in various spiritual traditions speak of their mystics reaching higher states of awareness and consciousness through spiritual exercises. This is what I was encouraging you to do last week, and we're going to continue. Really finding time for your own spiritual exercises and devoted time to enter into these spaces of transcendence, these spaces where you work with your own higher consciousness. There are also forms of teaching in current teachings of psychic development. I would use the word soul development, but psychic development. There's meditations that can guide you and have you move through the chakras. I even exposed you to that earlier in this podcast series, in this series of teachings. When you work up the chakras, it's bringing your awareness to this higher state. Same with visualizations. There's a lot of visualizations in psychic development work where, you're moving up, maybe in an elevator or up through planes of awareness, or I've heard of this concept sitting in the power where you're sitting in a, column of light to help that transform you to these lighter frequencies. Higher consciousness certainly brings you to lighter vibrational frequencies of being. Other visualization techniques like climbing a mountain, going into the garden, sitting in the woods, going into the woods. All of these are visionary experiences to jumpstart, you know, your all your clairs, really. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? Put yourself in this situation to ready yourself to have a spiritual experience with a guide, a mentor, an angel, whatnot, a loved one that has crossed. There's also physical practices to work to raise your energy up to your crown chakra or your brow chakra, these states that are connected, opening up to the realms of spirit. There's something called the hu yin, or pumping the hu yin. It's works to connect various meridians, stimulates the meridians, which are energy pathways in the body, building this energy up to your brow chakra and your crown chakra. There's also something called the cobra breath. I learned in Egypt from some British friends that I have. And let's see if I can do it now. This should be fun, right? You go like this. You put your tongue, the tip of your tongue between the back of your front teeth. And like this. And you breathe in. With the intention of holding and bringing the energy up to your head for a visionary experience, for a psychic connection, for a higher state of awareness. I thought it was great fun to do. Didn't really work for me. I think I was more so really kind of focusing on the breath and getting that right. The mechanics were kind of complicated to me, even though they seem simple, right? But it's like pranayam to yogic breath. But I just love it anyway. So sometimes I do it, but you know, it's that too. You can try that. These are all ways that people practice to shift their focus into a state of higher consciousness. But honestly, I don't practice any of these. Not really. And I don't want to take the time to record an episode on each one because I'm not as versed in them as I should be to do that. I just wanted to tell you about them. But I do encourage you to seek out any of them if you're interested. If one of them seems to resonate with you and you're like, I want to try that. I want to check that out. I want to, like me, I would try any sport. Let's see if I'm good at this. Turns out I was not so much, but I had fun. So that's cool. Yeah. If it resonates with you, try it, right? I think that's all life. If it resonates, you give it a whirl. As long as it brings you joy and doesn't harm yourself or harm anybody else, give it a whirl. I also think, I love those questions when people recently at a talk that I gave said, do I need to do these visionary exercises to get in touch with spirit when I'm ready to sit and have telepathic communication with a guide or an angel or a loved one on the other side? And I said, do you think you need to? Because if you believe you need to, then you probably do. But if you believe you don't, then you probably don't. And so, same for you. If you think that you need these exercises to raise your consciousness, to raise your vibration, because that's what happens. If you think you need to do this to move your energy up so that you can access your higher consciousness, then you probably need to try it. But I'm also inviting you to do it without, to try it without. Get in the water, it's fine. So I think she was relieved, the person that asked the question, because I'm all about you claiming your power and what works for you. And if you definitely want to read about it, try it, look into it, give it a go. I you see this pause? Yeah. So I'm gonna look here again. Oh, right. Yeah, because thoughts are powerful, right? So if you think you need it, you probably do. And also maybe that's part of your own inner wisdom saying, try that. I'm all about that. So I think though, when you're working to shift your consciousness and you do shift your consciousness and you start to live from higher consciousness so that you access that inner wisdom, things start to change.
Hey, as you follow my teachings, I've created this journal to be your companion. Your 11 Soul Senses is a journal for self discovery. It's an invitation to deepen your connection to yourself and the world around you and others. This is a good thing. Your soul senses are experienced through your higher conscious awareness. Through them, you perceive the spiritual aspects of your environment, the energy patterns, vibrations, soul level experiences, and underlying feelings. I'm laughing because I'm reading a script and it's going a little slow for me. Fully tuning into your world in this way, you increase your awareness and you begin to live your unlimited potential. These are my words, but I had to write them down to remember them. This journal is for you to document your quest for self-discovery. This is a good idea. Definitions are in there to help you understand how you are perceiving through your soul senses. Don't forget, I'm all about contemporary language. Prompts and quotes that we've added guide and encourage you. The empty pages are there for extraordinary exploration as you connect with your own higher states of awareness. I think I moved my eyeballs away from looking at the camera. But listen, to get yours, I want you, I invite you, I'm encouraging you to head to constancemessmer.com and check out my shop. Listen, I did it for you. All this I do for you. You know that. I believe in you. You got this. Thanks for tuning in.
But let me tell you the two things that I think are essential, you know, that are essential: intention and using your soul awareness. This will turn on your higher consciousness. Your higher consciousness, right, is soul awareness. Truly, it accesses all those realms of spirit, all those realms of wisdom. So when you set the intention to sit in practice and develop your inner wisdom through all the clairs and your empathic skills, you are shifting your consciousness. You are raising your consciousness. And the more you practice, the better off you'll be. And you'll be able to take that practice into your world. Like I said last time, you know, that you'll be able to access it with just intention. Like in a moment when you're wondering at work, like, why is that person kind of energetically discombobulated? So that's the intention, to wonder why. And you move into that space by accessing your own, tapping into, tuning into your own soul awareness. So maybe you set that intention to figure out why are they so energetically discombobulated. And then you kind of sense on your body, clear sensation or clear sentiment. Maybe you pick up an emotion, or maybe you decide to clairvoyantly look around him or close your eyes and imagine, what he must be going through. Some might think this is energetic voyeur, so maybe you don't do any of that. Maybe you just say, what can I do to help? And you seek and source your own wisdom inside. What can I do to help? So you're asking on a soul level and you're trusting the first thing that comes up, you know, and you can ask, where'd this guidance come from? You are now in higher consciousness. You have shifted your consciousness to looking at the dude that you know is having a hard go, and you're tuning in. You are tuning in. So your intention has been set. Want to know what's going on, you know? And second thing is using your soul awareness to access the information, to access those higher planes of existence, to access your higher consciousness, to have a greater awareness. You're shifting your awareness. And when you shift your consciousness and when you shift your awareness, your vibration changes. You've heard me say this before. Why is that? Why is that? Because we are accessing higher consciousness. And the higher planes that we go, the lighter the frequency that we carry. Everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. You pick it up, you feel it off other people, especially if you're opening up to your empathic abilities. And those are just, again, with intention. You might randomly feel it anyway, like, whoa, I just went past so and so over there and ugh, something's going on over there, Or it could be that you're like wondering about a loved one, or someone that's alive here. And you're like, I wonder how they're doing. And in that moment, you're tapping in and going, I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what they're up to. You're accessing you're using your higher consciousness. You've just switched your awareness. You've just focused your awareness into this other space that's not physical. That's not physical. You've just shifted to soul awareness, soul intention, soul ability, resourcing, your skills or your means and your methods and your senses, sourcing those senses that are subtle, but totally there for you, right? Let's see what Spirit says for more information. La la la, we said that, blah, blah, blah. Da da da. Wow, you know what's so amazing? This is it. We've done it. So those are the things, you know. How do you shift your consciousness? You do it with intention. Intention and tuning in with your soul awareness. All these things that you've been working with me on, right? And doing as your own spiritual practice. Raw yay you. I'm stoked for you and I'm really proud of you because you're working this, right, as a spiritual practice, which is what you have to do if you want to reap the benefits and reap the rewards of really cool stuff. just trust me, we're going to have fun on down the line because I'm going to give you little exercises to go out and try. Try this, try this. I may even give homework exercises on various social media platforms. So you might want to sign up for my newsletter. You can find it and access it in show notes or through my website, constancemessmer.com. And the newsletter is nice because it gives helpful hints and tidbits and then content of what I'm talking about either on this platform or other platforms, because all the platforms are sometimes they're their own thing and I offer different things in different places. So definitely subscribe. The YouTube channel is really taking off. I'm doing a lot there. And same with Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and things are happening and I just don't want you to miss anything. So, if those are areas that you hang out and play in, by all means, check it out. Check it out. I'd love to see you there. And I'd love your questions, right? I'd love your questions because it helps. When the time is right, I put it in the content or I put it in on the YouTube channel or on Instagram, frequently asked questions or powerhouse stuff like, when, and it's practical use for soul development or what I'm teaching you as soul awareness as practical tips and usage in your life to enhance your life. So it's funny because Spirit and I are laughing to this morning together. You set what's your intention? Is your intention to find out how that person is doing at the office? Is your intention to check in on someone at a distance? Is your intention, to just all of a sudden practice your clairvoyance today and you decide to look around people energetically maybe see their aura, look for their aura. How's that look? Or maybe your intention is to try to go out and go for a walk and talk to trees and see what comes up, right? All these cool things, or talk to your dog, or, see how that goes. And so when you harness these skills, right? I'm reading the notes. When you harness these skills, shifting consciousness becomes a matter of intention in the moment. So yes, we're going to do it in as part of your spiritual practice where you're sitting. That's what I'm calling your spiritual practice. You're sitting in a chair. We're going to go into meditation. We're going to go through some exercises, you know, to help. I'll coach you along. I'll coach you along. That'll be fun, right? To give you suggestions on how you might explore communication efforts in those spaces of undivided attention, like I spoke to you about last time, and how important that is. Because when you strength train in that arena, then you're able to take it out into your world in a really strong fashion because you're confident, right? And you're capable in ways because you've fortified yourself, um, with your eyes closed sitting practice, undivided attention. And so we begin at the beginning, right? A long time ago, I told you, what's your goal in meditation? What's your goal in connecting? What you have all the answers available inside of you through connection, through your own wisdom, through guidance and connection to all that is. So what's your goal? What do you want to find out? And knowing who to go to is always the situation. That's even in the physical world. What's your goal and how do you get there? And then for me, it's like, what senses of your soul awareness will you use to get you there, to access the answer? That's always fun. But knowing your goal of, what do I want to use this for? What do I want more out of in my life? Where could I use some help? Where are my sticky points? Where do I want to grow more? Where do I want to expand my consciousness? Knowing these goals will help set your intention, which will be great. So next time we're going to start our adventures together. That's what spirit tells me anyway. Because I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because sometimes you change course and we go off in a little tangent, and then they're like, it's not all that's constant. Sometimes you do it because you're like, oh, I wish I would have mentioned that in the last episode, and they're right. Like, so I'm asking them now. Is there anything I'm missing? So, yeah. So Spirit says, in the meantime, between now and the next time we're together, spend time honoring your own soul awareness. Take the time to tune in during your day and the world around you. And yeah, that's what they said. And they said, in your world around you, and kind of contemplate, like, what's happening on a soul level, what's happening not just on the physical senses, but what's going on in these spaces. So noticing when you're trying to troubleshoot a problem and you just can't come up with the answer, whether it's work or home, and that maybe, what you want to do is to take it for a walk and talk and go, okay, what's for my highest good? What do I need to do here? And sometimes spirit says, let it go. Or sometimes your wise self goes, let it go. Let it go. It's going to be the first thing that comes up. After that, the heart knows the truth. That's why I'm always putting my hands on my heart. But the mind loves to embellish. It loves to jump in after that first thought and go, no, I don't think so. Second guesses. It's like, you're not my friend sometimes, mind. Come on, come on. I want to tap into my higher consciousness. I don't want to listen to the ego mind filtration of the bullshit that can come in and kind of be petty and throw me off course. I want to shift my awareness higher. So what I do that is with intention. I just want to know what's for the highest good. What is the highest truth in this situation? Should I ask for that raise? Should I try for that new job? Should I ask that girl out? Should I call up that guy? Whatever it is, because sometimes it's that. And then, you know, and then you just take it out into your world. What's really cool though, sometimes too, is if you live in a city, is noticing, well, even if you don't, is as you move through your town or where you live or the village where you live, if you move through imagining throwing out blessings as light to people and see how it lands on them, or even walking and opening up and with the intention of seeing clairvoyantly, like around them or the auric field, uh, or maybe you open up clairaudiently and want to pay attention to the still quiet voice that bubbles up, or is trying to give you advice, and you ask who's saying that or where's that coming from. Trust the first thing. It's putting this stuff into practice this week. That's what I want you to do, is just to recognize when you've already shifted your consciousness, when you've already moved into higher conscious states by tuning into your soul awareness. That is what I ask of you. That's what I ask of you. So, two things. How do you shift your consciousness? Intention. Oh, I'm gonna, and then soul awareness, tuning into your soul awareness. So that's why when you're in meditation time, right? And people say, oh, I can't tap into my higher consciousness when I'm in meditation time. It's because you're still down in the ego mind. You need to, like, either do writing, going back and forth with a journal of, like, okay, I'm going to really look at some sticky points in my life. I'm really going to source my wise self for the answer. I'm going to source my angels for the answer, whatever your intention is, and proceed. Ask the question. You know, Sometimes I ask, and I've told you this before, tell me what I need to know. What do I need to look at in my life right now? I don't always like what I'm shown. I do not always like what I'm shown, but it really is always the truth. And it's always, necessary for me to work on. So, just like, keep your journal. Remember, I told you a long time ago, I encourage you to keep a journal to document what's occurring for you, to see what's happening. It will empower you, especially when you go back and see where it all landed, or where you were right on, or where was something, accurate or maybe inaccurate. I think you're going to have a great time with this. So I almost think you're going to have a great time with this. I'm really stoked that you're doing this, that you're making soul awareness part of your everyday life. I'm really, really excited for you. I think I know there's going to be a lot of fun changes for you. This is good stuff. This is good stuff, what you're doing. You are so deserving and worth it. And so this week, shift your consciousness. Shift your consciousness and wake up to a whole new way of living in the world, and become aware of far more greater, probably maybe, than you ever have been aware of. If you've only been living through your physical senses, you're missing half your life. And so you got this. I'm so proud of you.
Hey, Constance Messmer here. I just want to do a shout out of big thanks to all the members. I am so grateful. And all the people dropping in and giving little donations here and there and super thanks and all that stuff. I really appreciate you. You members and you people contributing and subscribers are what helped me bring this content to everyone, really. They both contribute to the cost of production, and I am definitely grateful for that. This stuff is not cheap to put out. Oh my God. Oh my God. So every little bit helps. And I am filled with gratitude that you're stepping up. I am not necessarily a joiner, not usually, but there are environmental issues and other organizations that I do belong to and I contribute to because I like to see them persevere. And I'm hoping you feel the same about this work. I hope you put it into practice in your life. That's another way that you could spread this work and help change our world, which is what I think it ultimately does. As you know, I think if everyone tuned into their soul senses, the world would be a much better place. So when you subscribe, it's a big yes vote for the content, and it helps spread the work across the planet. So when you put the lessons into practice and subscribe and like and share, you help me help you carry the lesson beyond you and me. And I am just really grateful. Legally speaking, this podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical diagnosis, treatment, or the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem or condition. Always check with your doctor. Thank you.